Hello and welcome to Out and About. I'm Diane Gonzalez. One of the cultural treasures in our community is the International Quilt Study Center and Museum on UNL's East Campus. The Quilt House holds the largest publicly held quilt collection in the world. 2018 will mark the 10th anniversary of the opening of the Quilt House, and joining me to talk about the history of the center and some of the upcoming events are Leslie Levy. She is the executive director. And Carolyn Ducey is the curator of collections. Thank you both so much for being here.
Well, pleased to be here.
As I mentioned, we want to talk about the history. I can't believe it's been 10 years since the Quilt House opened. Tell us how things got started there.
Well, wonderfully, about 20 years ago, 2017 marks the 20th anniversary of the gift that Native Nebraskans Robert and artist James gave to the University of Nebraska, and that gift was almost 1,000 quilts. And that gift was meant to create an academic program within the Department of Textiles at the University of Nebraska. And that's really where we started our journey. And luckily, we had Carolyn Ducey as our initial and our first curator of collections at that time, and she's been with us ever since.
So the artist and Robert James collection was kept in another building for quite a few years, and then the planning sort of started for what became the Quilt House.
Right. Well, we had so many visitors, even from day one. People would come and they'd say, we want to see the 1,000 quilts that you have. So it was something that became obvious to us pretty early on that we really needed to have a building and a place where people could really appreciate this amazing collection that we had.
And so lots of planning and preparation, and the Quilt House opened. Tell us a little bit about the design of the Quilt House, because it's kind of based on a quilt.
It is. It's a Robert A.M. Stern designed building, and he's just done the College of Business Administration on campus, so we were his first building on campus, and he designed it with the idea of a quilt in mind. So if you look at the brickwork on the exterior of our building, it's done in a quilt style. Our beautiful reception area is the eye of a needle, the sewing needle. So he used the quilt as a metaphor, and our building really reflects that.
Now in 2013, the museum was accredited. That's a pretty big deal.
It was. There are only 6% of the museums in the United States are accredited, so we feel pretty special to have that affiliation.
And I'm sure that was quite a process as well.
Oh, yes. we were lucky to have an employee on staff who was extremely detail-oriented, so they actually use our application as an example for other museums applying because she did such a wonderful job.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the things coming up. As we mentioned, the 10th anniversary next year. You two have a new book coming out.
Yes, I'll let Carolyn talk about it. It's one of her special projects.
I'm so excited, so thrilled to see this book come to publication. It's one of a series that we started back in 2008, so the first book came out then, and then funding, of course, dried up, and so we really had to work hard to find the money that we needed to produce a second comprehensive volume of the collection. So it's 600 quilts that span from 1760 to 1870. It is a gorgeous publication, and we went to experts all over the world to help us and write essays for it. So it's an amazing book. Whether you love just general American history, you love quilts, or you just want something really beautiful to look at. So that'll be out in February.
Sounds like a good present.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. So let's talk a little bit about what's coming up for the anniversary. I don't know if this is breaking news or not, but Ken Burns has an extensive quilt collection, and the first public display is going to be here in Lincoln.
It is, and we are absolutely delighted and honored to be the organization that gets to share his passion for quilts. When we were visiting with Mr. Burns in last October, so about a year ago, we were visiting, and he said, you know, I make documentaries for the public, but I collect quilts for myself. And he admitted that there are family members and friends that don't even know that he has this quilt collection. And what's wonderful about it is it's just a really wonderful collection that expresses who he is and his interests. So you'll see some traditional American history, you know, traditional American quilts. You'll see some patriotic quilts, quilts and patterns and designs that are very familiar to people. But the wonderful tie for all of it, so to speak, is the fact that they're his and he's picked them out. So.
And how many does he have?
A little over 100.
Wow. Well,
But
that'll be exciting.
We will be featuring around 30, so about a third of his collection.
All right. And is he going to come for the exhibition?
We hope. Yeah,
crossed.
it is always very difficult with his schedule to be
Right.
able to pin that down, but we would be absolutely delighted.
Well, any other activities you can talk about now coming up for the 10th anniversary?
Well, sure. We have a wonderful exhibition that we will have in the middle. In the summer, it will open the end of May, beginning of June, and it is called War and Peace. And those are military quilts. They're really unique and fabulous, right? We partnered with the American Folk Art Museum in New York, and that exhibition is in New York right now, and then it will come to us. When it is at the Quilt House, we will actually have more of our quilts from our collection in that exhibition, so the public can see a little bit more and can see a few of the real special ones. And Carolyn won't talk about this, but I think it's fun because Carolyn has been a part of this journey for 20 years and has really stewarded this collection to be what it is and to make us really the preeminent and premier exhibition in the world. We have asked Carolyn to curate an exhibition at the end of 2018, at the end of our 10th celebration, our 10th anniversary, to celebrate and highlight the quilts in our collection that are her favorites.
Oh, wonderful.
So we thought it was important and that she should have that due to curate her own exhibition since she has been with the collection for so long, and we are all anxious to see what she chooses.
Oh, it's so hard to decide. I'm struggling.
How many do you get to pick?
Well, we only have room for 12 to 15 in
Yeah.
a single gallery, so that makes it really difficult to narrow it down. But I'm really going back to the stories, the people and the connections that we made, and the stories behind the quilts too.
Well, that
to
will
kind
be
of
really
make them
interesting.
out, so.
Well, before 2018 comes up, we do have a lot of activities going on
Oh,
this
yeah.
year. One of the things that caught my eye on your agenda is the behind the scenes tour, because this is going to take people to places that they don't normally get to go.
That's right.
It does. We take people into our collections workroom. We kind of show them what we do and how we care for the collection. And that's really something that is very applicable to taking care of textiles at home as well. But then we go into the storage area. We show them how we store over 5,500 quilts. And we have flat storage units where we can just pull out tray after tray. So, those are some of our most rare and unusual and wonderful quilts. So we take a lot of time and show people some really exceptional quilts. It's really a fun visit.
All right. Also, the Quilt Center's been doing this whole series on why quilts matter. Some of the topics have been really interesting, but the one coming up October 24th is kind of behind the scenes of the whole quilt industry. Gets into some of the politics as well.
Yes.
What is fun, and we have to give a nod to the Kentucky Quilt Project and to Shelley Ziegert because she produced this series. When we were looking at celebrating this 20th anniversary of the initial gift from the James family, we wanted to spend this year looking at why quilts matter, and we thought it would be really fun to show this series on a Tuesday Talk, fourth Tuesday of every month, and really talk about what it is that draws us into quilts. And the program coming up really talks about how robust the quilt industry and quilters still are. It is worldwide, it is a $20 billion a year industry,
Wow.
which is amazing.
I was going to call it a multi-million-dollar industry, but
It is
billion.
amazing, it really is amazing. And the spectrum of quilts and quilting today will blow your mind if you haven't. And you have to come into Quilt House and see the exhibitions to enjoy it.
That's right. Getting into the Halloween spirit with the Haunting of Quilt House. This is a
Yes.
3-day event and a scavenger hunt. If you wear a costume, you get in free.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
Yes.
That has been such a fun project. We've just kind of initiated this year is what we're calling pop-up exhibits. So it's a weekend exhibit where we have quilts out on the table in our collections workroom, and it's mostly been Sarah Walcott and Jamie, who another of our employees who kind of devised this whole idea of coming up with these different pop-ups. They are picking out quilts that they think are appropriate. So for October, for the Haunting of Quilt House, we'll have a coffin cover, we'll have a spider web quilt. So some really unusual pieces that haven't been seen before. And I think they're bringing in a really great new eye, and it's going to be really fun to see these.
Be a fun event to take kids to. And
Yes.
the Quilt House, I wanted to kind of just talk a little bit about some of the kids programs.
Sure.
We're going to start talking about, first of one, My Doll and I Explore the Arts, that's coming up the 28th. Talk a little bit about what kids can do at this event.
Sure. My Doll and I is a program that we do 4 to 6 times a year, and it's a workshop. You can attend either a morning session or an afternoon session. And Sheila Green is one of our favorite volunteers. She's amazing. She's a retired teacher. She does an amazing job with the students and those who attend the workshops. And they take an American Girl doll, and they usually learn some lesson that ties into one of our exhibitions. And so the upcoming workshop, the students or the attendees and Sheila will explore one of our exhibitions that is an art exhibition, so an exhibition of art quilts that came from Europe, and talk a little bit about that, talk about some of the elements, some of the design, get some inspiration, and then they get to go back and have hands-on time, create something for their doll, and just have a wonderful time together, meeting new friends, having a new experience. They're great.
Yeah, but with all the kids programming, you're creating future quilters.
We hope.
Yes.
All right. We also want to talk, there's a Friends group, Friends of the International Quilt Study Center and Museum, and they're having an art market coming up mid-November. Tell us a little bit about what happens here. This helps to support the operation. So.
It does. We have a wonderful Friends organization. This is one of their annual fundraisers. This is the 4th annual art market. So the proceeds come to support our mission and our programs, which is wonderful. It's on Friday evening, November 17th from 4 to 8, and then Saturday during the day. Wonderful variety of artisans. You'll see hand-carved wood bowls, you'll see tea towels, paintings, pictures, note cards. It's the perfect time to do your Christmas shopping.
I was going to mention, the timing is right to get some of those holiday gifts.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm going to run real quickly through some of the exhibitions that are on now and coming up at the Quilt Center. Against the Grain is Quilted Leather by Kathy Wiggins. She's a pioneer in the field of contemporary quilted leather. Olivia's Journey, Olive's Journey, I'm sorry, these are quilts created by Olive Emma Buckland. She died at age 58, and quilting became her creative refuge as she battled Alzheimer's disease. Her sister Judy helped her to quilt even in her last years, so this is also kind of some quilts that reflect a bond between sisters. Brian Haggard's Vintage Visions is crazy quilt-inspired artwork that asks the question, is it old or is it new? Block by Block is an exhibition about the evolution of the block style designs. Small Talk is one of the 2 exhibitions marking the 30th anniversary of the Quilt Art Group. That includes artists from Europe and North America. And Voltage, quilts by Erica Wasser. These are contemporary studio quilts. She is an architect and native of Germany. So, such a wide variety of things going on there. There's always something new to see. Yes. The International Quilt Study Center and Museum, 33rd and Holdridge Streets. The hours through October are 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Tuesdays through Saturdays and 1 to 4 Sundays. And the hours change again for the winter. But quiltstudy.org is the place where you can find all that out. There is an admission fee, although UNL students and staff get in free. And on the first Fridays, for the First Friday Art Walk, there is free admission, and there's music and kids activities, and that's always a fun time to check out the Quilt Center. They also have memberships available. Talk about the memberships, how one becomes a member, and what some of the advantages are.
Sure. So an individual membership starts at $50, and you get family memberships. Quilt groups will sometimes do memberships for their group. With a membership, with your membership, you get in free admission then.
Unlimited visits.
Yes, absolutely. And you also get discounts in the gift shop on your workshops, other lectures and events that we have throughout the year. our membership dues go to support our programming and our mission. So we love that.
The last time I was at the Quilt Study Center, I saw people actually quilting. There was a
Yes.
big room where they were all working on quilts. That's people can ask permission to bring small groups in to quilt.
Yes, it's really a fun event. I think people are so fascinated watching the creation of a quilt because it's something we're not so familiar with that sewing as we were maybe in the past. So we have a number of groups, Quilts of Valor, who make quilts for our servicemen and women, small groups that come in and just sit and use the space. It's a beautiful, well-lit area, and we'd really encourage people to call and see if there's a day where they can come in and quilt for us.
Now, I know a lot of people have quilts probably on some beds, maybe on some couches, hanging on the wall, maybe in a closet. You also have a Quilt ID Day where people can learn more about their quilts, and you get to learn probably a little bit about how they acquired them.
We do. Quilt ID Day is such a fun day because we never know what's going to come in. So as people come in with the pillowcases and the boxes, it's kind of like, we call it like Christmas, where they unpack these wonderful quilts. So we can help people find out information, patterns, dates, things like that if they don't know them. If they do have that information, either way, we'll create a label for that quilt because we're really trying to promote documentation of these pieces. So many quilts aren't signed, we don't know who made them. This way we have that information actually attached to the quilt so it'll never be lost. So it's a great way to just make sure that that information gets passed on to the next generation.
All right. Now, I know you are a lawyer by training. How did you get into the world of quilts, and what fascinates you about them?
My mother was a teacher, and in the summers, my mom couldn't ever slow down. She was always staying busy and wanted something to fill her summers. And so she had an antique business and collected quilts and was a quilt collector and dealer in the summers. And I remember when I was little, she would go to Shipshewana, she would go to the Amish community, she would travel all over the United States looking for quilts to sell. And we had them she quilted, and we had them in our home and on our walls and on our beds. And so when the opportunity to join the Quilt Museum arose, it just felt like a natural transition. It was something that I didn't think was going to come along in my career, and I feel very fortuitous that it did and feel lucky to have the opportunity to be at the Quilt Museum.
And Carolyn, you've been involved with quilts for many years. What still fascinates you about quilting?
I think it's so much fun to share them with people, and you can find a kind of an angle to interest anyone. So there's big business involved, there's history involved, there's craft, there's art. So there's really, I say it all the time, there's something for everybody. And I think it's just that awareness that you see in people when they say, wow, I never knew quilts could be this or quilts were this. So that's always really fun to share.
All right. Well, again, the International Quilt Study Center and Museum is at 33rd and Holdridge Streets. You can visit quiltstudy.org to find out the hours and all the latest exhibitions. There's always something fun going on. And thank you both so much for joining us, Leslie and Carolyn. We'll have you back again sometime to talk about what's new, and hopefully maybe we'll get a look at some of those Ken Burns quilts.
We'd love it.
As we go to break, we're going to take a look at some of the other great art exhibitions in local galleries. And then Jeff Mull will join us from the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Stay with us. Welcome back to Out and About. Jeff Mull joins me now from the Convention and Visitors Bureau. We've got a busy fall planned here in Lincoln.
Very busy fall. Who thought that there was more in the fall than just Husker football?
Oh, there always
Wow,
is.
there's always tons going on.
Yes, there is. We're going to talk first off about the Good Life Halvesy, which has become a really huge event in
This
Lincoln.
is, and the guys at Pink Gorilla Events put this on. The Good Life Halfsy takes runners on a very unique course across our community. They touch all different kinds of attractions, and they'll run by the Capitol. And it's just a neat event. Sells out immediately every year, and thanks to the guys over there. Everything gets going at Seacrest Field, Seacrest Park, Seacrest parking lot, and we'll end up at the rail yard. So again, all of the running enthusiasts, all the running fans and community, get out and cheer on our runners, because that's what makes Lincoln a truly great running destination.
And it is free for spectators, of course.
Yep.
They have some festivities down on the rail yard, so lots of fun.
Yes.
Now, if walking is more of your thing, Lincoln Volksport is having a Halloween walk. I don't know if you know much about Volksport. I looked this up. It's a non-competitive fitness walking in groups, and it
Right.
started in Europe.
Right.
So there's an event in the Cornhusker State Games of
There
Volkswalk,
is.
right?
The Volkswalk's been in there for several years. They do a 5K and a 10K. It's a lot of elbows and it's a lot of hips like this, right? You're doing
Okay.
this all the time, okay? That's
right.
Volkswalking.
All right.
Are you ready?
Thanks for that tutorial, Jeff. Appreciate that.
Okay.
Now, if watching is more of your thing, some of the best high school bowlers in the region are going to be converging on Sun Valley Lanes. They're at 321 Victory Lane. What a great address for a
Right.
bowling alley.
This is the Star City High School Open. Over $6,000 in college scholarships are available during this competition. It's presented to you by the Lincoln Bowling Association, a group that puts on a lot of great bowling events in Lincoln.
Now, speaking of Victory Lane,
Yes.
right next door on
Yes.
Victory Lane is the Speedway Motors Fabulous Museum.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have cars and coffee,
It's a
free
great-
donuts, free coffee, free admission.
It's a win-win.
You can bring your classic car.
Yeah, you get into the museum if you bring your classic car. It's a great way to for the community, but as well as automotive enthusiasts to enjoy conversation. A lot of great stories when it comes to classic cars.
That's right. We did a show out there not
We
too
did.
long
I
ago.
remember
that
it
was
well.
really fun. Wow, it's a hard place to leave because wherever you go, there's something really cool that catches your eye.
Yes.
So. All right, the next event is a fundraiser, and I made sure we put this in just because it is so much fun to say. It's called Meow and Chow.
There's a sound effect that goes with this, but I'm going to leave it out. This begins with an all-you-can-care-to-eat soup dinner featuring soup spreads and desserts from many generous local restaurants. The dinner is followed by an evening of bingo with lots of fantastic prizes. A great opportunity to enjoy the folks at the Center for People in Need, and it's fun. This is going to be neat.
It's fun. All the proceeds. This is their 8th annual fundraiser for Lincoln Animal Ambassadors and the Cat House, so you can meow and chow to your heart's content. There.
Thanks for including that
That's
one.
Now we got a big scrapbooking convention coming up the last weekend in October. Now you have to pre-register for this. This is a big deal. Pre-registration is pretty much required. They may have a few slots open the day of. But this year they're going to help fight, the proceeds will help fight breast cancer, and that's a very timely topic right now.
It is, and this is going to be at the Cornhusker Marriott Hotel. They do a great job of hosting events, so a great benefit.
And the most common cancer diagnosed in women in the U.S.,
Yes.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus, the famous comedian,
Yeah.
just announced she has breast
Yes.
cancer. So this is a good opportunity to get your scrapbooking done and raise money for a
Sounds
good
fun.
cause. Let's do some theater, shall we?
We could do that. This is Hundreds of Dresses, or The 100
The
Dresses.
100 Dresses.
At the Lincoln Community Playhouse. Their season is off in full scale right now. Set in the 1930s, small town America, a story of a young Polish-American girl. And this is a
Yes.
great opportunity, an award-winning.
This is right. I found a Lincoln connection. I was looking up some
Uh-huh.
information about this play. It's based on a 1944 award-winning children's book by Eleanor Estes.
Okay.
And the name of the illustrator struck me, Louis Slobodkin. He is the sculptor of the Rail Joiner,
Yes,
which is
yes.
the beautiful Abe Lincoln, young Lincoln,
Yep.
in front of our Hall of Justice. And his family actually came when the Rail Joiner was dedicated. So I don't even know if the Playhouse knows that weird little
They know now, because I
Lincoln
know they watch
connection.
this program.
I'm worried. But anyway, the 100 Dresses, it's a very heartwarming play. And go see that. And then coming up, next at the Playhouse, almost back to back, Ethan Claymore.
That's right, the story of a reclusive, struggling egg farmer and an artist, and visited by a spirit of his long-estranged older brother, a heartwarming comedy, a ghost story, which is fitting for the month of October, as well as a love story.
And the title, Ethan Claymore, is going to be played by our good friend Mark Fite.
Mark!
Yeah. So
What a great
it'll be
guy.
fun. That'll be a
Yes.
great show. The second show in the new repertory theater season is coming up. This one is called The Serpent.
This explores the book for Genesis and relates to our own modern experiences through various contemporary
Improvisational.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is The Serpent at the UNL Temple Building.
All right. Theatrics has kind of an interesting, fun program in honor of Nebraska's 150th anniversary. It's called Nebraska Nice, and it's kind of a sketch show, which would be like a Saturday Night Live.
That's right. From Husker Fever to hot-tempered farmers market vendors to yoga in cornfields, this show takes you through what is really meant to be Nebraska Nice.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It does.
All right, let's go out to Nebraska Wesleyan. Heather's the Musical. This is kind of a dark musical for mature audiences, but also pretty funny.
Yeah, three Heathers rule their 1980s Ohio high school as the hottest, cruelest girls around. I think I've said enough right there. If you've watched actually the show called The Heathers, this is an interesting little take on things. So again, mature audiences.
All right, then in November, Nebraska Wesleyan is doing Dancing at Lunasa. This is one of my favorite plays. It's set in Ireland. It's very sweet and very cool. Very cool play.
An award-winning and dramatic memory plays that choose to dance. So a lot of fun.
All right, let's get into some fun Halloween fun. Tada has cooked up something interesting. It's called Evil Dead the Musical. What intrigues me about this is, of course, it includes zombies. It includes some adult language, so it's not for everyone.
Okay.
But you can request splatter zone seating.
Right.
Ew.
I took that off because I didn't think we could talk about the splatter zone. This seems like something that could get a little messy, but this is a campy, clever, comical, and creative production from Bob Rook and the I'm going to call them, can I call them the Goof Troop? Because they
There
do
you
such a
go.
good job over there of coming up with truly zany ideas. And Evil Dead the Musical at the Tada Theater should be a must-see thing for the October season.
Well, I just noticed there's a chainsaw involved.
I know. That's
don't
the
know.
splatter zone.
Ew.
This is going to get bad.
All right, we'll check that out.
All right, I can't wait to hear.
Flatwater Shakespeare has a fun fundraiser coming up. It's called Shakespeare, and some of Shakespeare's spookiest ghosts are going to come to life. There's beverages, food, and a drawing. One of the prizes is tickets to see Hamilton.
Oh,
I know,
that's a good deal.
but there's only 80 tickets available.
Right, limited quantities.
for this. So
You will get fed. You'll have food and beverage that night. It's a
You get
great
scared?
opportunity. Yes, Shakespeare. I thought that was
Shakespeare.
a typo when I looked at it, but
Nope,
then I said
Shakespeare.
no. Right,
Shakespeare.
Gotcha.
I think it's Shakespeare. I may have a typo there.
Shakespeare.
Shakespeare.
All right.
Either one.
Either way, it sounds spooky.
And there's a kind of a spooky and scary night coming up at the Mueller Planetarium with War of the Worlds.
Yeah, what a great story that was back in the day.
Wow.
War of the Worlds. Share the experience that frightened listeners decades ago as they turned into the War of the Worlds. Running time for this show is 60 minutes and is recommended for ages 8 and older. So again, this is an age-appropriate show. Orson Welles, War of the Worlds, UNL's Planetarium.
1938. People were tuning in and they didn't know it was.
Right.
They didn't know it was a show. They really thought we were in serious trouble.
It's a cruel, cruel joke.
All right, couple other fun things coming up at Memorial Hall, a couple of their regular events. They've got their Pop-In Story Time.
Yep.
They do this with Lincoln City Libraries, and they're going to talk about horses. All the kids
That's
love their horses.
Right, ages 3 to 5, through stories, songs, and movement, everyone will learn more about the natural world that involves horses.
And then their Investigate Second Saturday has an interesting topic. There's scientific illustration. This sounds kind of interesting.
It will be a lot of fun. Again, another hands-on activity, hands-on thing for the kids, and scientific illustration will be sure to captivate.
All right, we're going to go out to the Lancaster Event Center now, and our first thing we're going to talk about is a fall arts and crafts show. These are very popular this time of year because you can get all your Christmas shopping done.
Yeah, the Fall Blessings Arts and Crafts Show is going to be a lot of fun. The Greater Nebraska Survival and Green Living Expo is going to teach you about how to learn about the earth and how to live our lives green. And then the City Library Book Sale.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So you can do a lot of Christmas shopping, you can do a lot of reading, and you can learn how to live a cleaner life.
And those are all coming up kind of the mid to later part of October
Yep.
there at the Event Center. And then they've got a big event in November, Jurassic Quest. This is one of those
Yes.
big moving dinosaur things.
Over 50 life-size dinosaurs in all will be at the Lancaster Event Center, and you're truly going to feel like you're back in the dinosaur period. A lot of great things going on with Jurassic Quest, as well as cute baby dinosaurs. You get a chance to interact with these baby dinosaurs.
Oh.
I've seen video. It looks a lot of fun, so don't miss this opportunity for the kiddos.
All right, November 10th through the 12th at the Event Center. All right, we're going to talk about some Halloween things now, starting with the granddaddy of them all.
Love it.
John Chapo will be the wizard again at Boo at the Zoo.
Not only is it candy, it's coupons, it's apples, it's just a lot of great interaction with local businesses. This is Boo at the Zoo. Again, over 40 different vendor booths going on. A lot of opportunities. It's not just one day, it's over about a week's amount of time. So don't worry about the weather, don't worry about whether you're going to beat the crowd. There's always great opportunities at the zoo with the Boo event.
And then we want to remind people also that the last regular day for the Children's Zoo is October 17th. And then they get ready for Boo at the Zoo starting on the 16th. They have a lot of decorating and things to do in between.
They do, and it's a beautiful
They make it
setting.
A lot of fun. Children's Museum is also doing its Halloween event. This sounds like fun, indoor trick-or-treating and also some fun learning experiences.
Yep, along the way they'll be stopping by educational booths and learn about everything from creepy crawlies to the purposes of recycling.
All right. We're going to wrap up with some music here in the capital city, starting with Arts for the Soul is going to present Sing from the Heart.
Yes.
They're going to have a couple of choirs there, as well as Daniel Martinez on the guitar. Daniel is just a real Lincoln treasure. He is a fabulous guitarist.
That's right, and they'll have a dessert concert as a fundraiser for the Community Playhouse's Penguin Project. So kind of a great benefit, great entertainment night over at First Presbyterian Church.
And a great cause. The Penguin Project
Yes,
is
yes.
a great thing they do over at the Playhouse. Aubin Music is going to present one of the best organists in the world. I love this. They say they're pulling out all the stops.
I got that. I get that one.
Yeah.
Daryl Robinson will be there, winner of the American Guild of Organists' most prestigious national competition. Will make his Lincoln debut, and of course the magnificent 6,000 pipe lead organ. Have you had a chance to hear the lead organ?
Majestic.
It is. It just resonates. I'm surprised you can't hear it miles away.
It's
just
awesome.
very, very cool.
Then the Nebraska Jazz Orchestra is coming up with its first concert in their new season, and this one features a really great trumpet player.
Yeah, Greg Gisbert grew up in a musical family in Denver and is a highly revered in the trumpet community, and he's also had chances to play with the likes of Wynton Marsalis. Actually, that's his most recent gig. He had a chance to go out and play with Wynton, so to bring him in town, and again, the Marriott Cornhusker for a performance venue keeps popping up, so they're doing great things over at the hotel.
Yes, they are. Capitol Jazz returns with its every Monday night event at the Cottonwood Cafe, which is a great fun venue here in town. They've got a trio on the 16th, a Monday night big band a couple nights after that, then their first Monday jazz jam. Any Monday night that you go over to the Cottonwood, you're going to hear some really fun music. So
Great place for coffee, lunch, dinner, entertainment. So stop on out to the Cottonwood Cafe.
All right, we're going to wrap up here with 3 Lincoln Symphony events. Boy, they are busy this time of year. The first one is it's a family concert, and it's going to feature a dog named Treble.
Treble, cute. That sounds fun.
Yes.
And through an interactive listening activities, and children will explore and learn about the orchestra's instrument family, the woodwinds, the brass, the percussion, and the strings, all while they try to find a home for Treble as he's searching for a place somebody to love him. There'll be face painting, great interactive kids activities, and my favorite, the musical petting zoo.
Musical petting zoo.
Yes.
Awesome. Maybe they should do a meow and chow for Treble. Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. All right, and then the symphony has its. I love this title. It ain't Baroque.
Doesn't quite fit the Leeds Center name, right? It's not majestic. But Edward Polachek conducting from the harpsichord, opening with a mixture of Handel's music, 2 of Vivaldi's brass double concertos, and after intermission, the tenor Drew Duncan joins the orchestra for 3 more of Handel's performances, and this is a full night.
Yes.
They're going to go across all different musical tastes, and it's just neat. They do a lot of fun with the orchestra.
Then coming up November 10th, the Lincoln Symphony Orchestra is going to celebrate Philip Glass's 80th birthday.
Yep, after opening with Bach, LSO will premiere the newly composed Piano Concerto No. 3 by Philip Glass. The second half opens with Vaughan Williams' The Wasp.
All right. And in addition, lots of fall sports all across town, not just at UNL,
Yeah.
but Wesleyan and all the high schools, and it's a big time for sports.
It is. Things wind, and this year went so fast. So, we really encourage people, if they have questions about what's going on in Lincoln, stop down to our Visitors Center at 7th and P. We're in the Lincoln Station. 434-5348 is the best way to call us, or you can log on at lincoln.org, because what we just talk about is such a small sampling of what's going on in Lincoln.
Thank you very much, Jeff, and
bet.
keep up the great work. As we go to break, we're going to show you some of the other great events coming up at the Lead Center, and then Tom Lorenz will join us to tell us what's going on at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Stay with us. Welcome back to Out and About. Tom Lorenz joins us now, and you have created quite a stir over there at Pinnacle Bank Arena with this Garth Brooks announcement.
Isn't that great? Garth coming to Lincoln, Nebraska. Can't be better.
And how many shows are we up to? 5?
So we're doing 5 shows. 1 on Friday, the 20th, 2 on Saturday, the 21st, and 2 on Sunday, the 22nd.
Well, tell us about the day that tickets went on sale. I was watching Twitter, and it was like every few minutes there was a show added.
Well, I think, the customers get to see a Garth show, but we got to see the Garth on sale. So we're on the phone with Ticketmaster and some of our staff, and then Garth's guy, his name is Ben, and then Garth's on the phone. And we can watch in real time as these tickets sell, and we get on about an hour before, and you see the demand start to build, and they keep adding these shows, and it's a very dramatic, it's a lot of fun. I think it's as good as the show. And it's amazing to see the demand continue to drive that next show. And they're very careful about what we release and how we can do it, because they don't want to have a show with just 1,000 people, and they're careful with it. We still have tickets available to, I think, all the shows, but a couple shows are pretty down to maybe singles. But I know Sunday night has tickets available, Sunday does, and there's probably some singles and maybe even a pair or so to see in the other ones. Just check out Ticketmaster. And I love it that the ticket pricing was $74.98. That was with fees, and so people knew exactly what they were going to get, and it was a good process, I think, through TM.
Right, and Trisha Yearwood is also on the bill.
Is a tremendous singer in her own right. I mean, we could probably sell one of her shows out, and I know that throughout the industry, musicians really appreciate Trisha Yearwood, and they do her songs, and she does their stuff, and it's what a power couple when you talk about power couples. And he engages so much with the fans. I think that's why people love to keep coming. And he does multiple shows all over the country. Good guy. I've heard nothing but wonderful things about him from my peers who have done shows recently. So we're really looking forward to that opportunity here in Lincoln.
And it's not just, as you said, it's not just country. He's got such a wide variety of music.
He does. I mean, Garth was probably one of the original country rock and roll kind of guys, where it's, all the flash and excitement, and he gets into the songs, and it's ballads, and it crosses those genre lines. It's not just a country show. It's not like having, someone come out and just hit twangy songs. This is a pop, power, country, all genres show, and he engages with people so well, and he's sincere, and he does things in the community. He's visible. It's going to be great.
Oh yeah, and he's a good musician.
Oh yeah, just knows a few things, written a few good songs, one or two. Yep.
All right, well, that's kind of your last music blast before we get into Husker basketball here.
It is.
That takes over beginning in November.
Right, so we got basketball coming back. We're going to have some open houses. We've got some great games already up on the schedule. Looking forward to having them back. You start with Amy Williams and the women's team, who are going to be very strong. I think they've improved a lot, and I love their staff. They're great to work with. They got some great athletes, so I'm looking forward to that. And Tim and the men's team, you keep hearing about the recruits, and there's a lot of great things happening. Can't wait to see them on the floor and see these guys come out and really, take on some very hard, not only preseason or pre-conference games, but I can't wait for the season to start against the conference and watch all those great teams come here and watch the Huskers compete well.
All right, well, let's see what else is coming up at Pinnacle Bank Arena during basketball season. Actually, there is a Lincoln Business Expo in mid-October we want to mention real quick.
Yep, this is what used to be called Business to Business. It's the Lincoln Business Expo. It's a great time for people to come by. And it's not just for business to business. That's why they changed the name. It's for anyone to come by and be able to talk with local businesses, get some great information, exchange ideas, pick up a few free samples, and it spreads out nicely at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Easy parking all around, and I hope a lot of folks from not just the area but across Lincoln come in and check it out.
And they've got a great logo.
They do. Yeah, I love that logo with Abe there. That's the rock and roll Abe.
That's him. That's him right there. Well, it is a tribute to your staff that Jay-Z is coming back.
Jay-Z's
December
coming
6th.
back, and one of the highest selling musicians ever. He's got over 100 million albums sold, multiple Grammy awards. Great businessman, great musician. When he was here the first time, he was one of our first 10 shows in 80 days when we opened the arena. And we had some technical difficulties that evening with him. We had what's called beam detectors in the ceiling, and they're a fire deterrent type of thing. And they were turned off in the arena. They weren't turned off through an air out in the concourse. And some of the haze came out in the concourse and made the smoke detectors go off. Some power was cut. Jay-Z and his crew were professionals. They checked out to see what was happening. They worked with us. He came back out, finished the set. They were terrific people to work with, and they want to come back because they like Lincoln so well. And Lincoln showed up, did a great job. So, I mean, Lincoln is the one who should be praised for having Jay-Z come back.
All right. The Lincoln Globetrotters. The Harlem Globetrotters are becoming kind of an annual thing. They're going to be back in February.
Those guys and girls they're so talented. There's so much fun with them. There's great athletic ability, and they really like being here. They love the arena. They have all the graphics that they can do. Every year, new fans come out, and if you haven't seen it for a couple years, we always encourage people to come out. And it's not just young kids. It's my age and older and younger. It's a family event that's just a feel-good event. It's fun. It's during basketball season. And then, maybe you can, if the guys watch, some of the Huskers, maybe we can start doing those half-court shots, hook shots, and see how those things work out
Teach
for
them
them.
a few tricks.
Right.
You've managed to sandwich in another big concert in March with Lorde.
We do, and we have Lorde coming out. She came out with a really strong first album and a good sophomore album. She's got a new album out that went right from releasing it to the top of the Billboard charts. It's nice to have this locked in out ahead of time. A great talent, and I think she'll fit in very well with the list of events that we get to have at Pinnacle Bank Arena.
And then in April, we're already looking forward to the Monster Jam Triple Threat Series.
Right. So, they always look for something new to do with Monster Jam, and there's different trucks that come in, and they change the way that they set up the dirt mounds, and this time they'll have some ATV racing, and then they have kind of these utility vehicle races also, so that'll add a new flair to it. But what a fun show. If you look at it on TV, you get some sense, but unless you're there and hear the roar of the engines, see how high these guys and girls drive these trucks where they stand up on end and fly over the jumps and crush cars, and it's just a cool thing. And bring kids, make sure they have plenty of sugar before they've got there, hype them up, and make sure that they enjoy the great time at Monster Jam.
What fun. All right. Pinewood Bowl season is... It's over, but let's kind of do a wrap-up. How did things go overall? I know there were a few shows that had to move because of the weather.
We had 13 shows overall. We moved 4 inside, and I think we did a pretty good job on predicting the weather. We usually try to make that call about 48 hours out, and I always feel good. Not that I want to see it rain or see a show have to get moved in, but if we move the show inside to Pinnacle, and about 7 o'clock that night, a big storm breaks out outside, I feel like we made the right choice.
Right.
And people ask us often, why don't you just reschedule the shows? Well, the way that the artists are scheduled throughout the summer and the way they look at production and crews and everything else, they generally can't come back. So if we lose a show, we're at some financial risk at that point. So if we have the Pinnacle Bank Arena as the backup, we can move it in, we can keep it. It gives those guys and girls on the tour at least a nice place to play for the evening, and it worked out well. But we did some very eclectic things. We got to see Willie Nelson this year come and play. We saw something very different with 2 cellos, where we had
They were
a couple
fabulous.
guys, and not only classic but rock and roll and energetic and all those type of things. We finished up the season with some cool jam bands, where we had Ween one night and finished up with Wilco, which was a great show. Those guys out of Chicago, they always play Lollapalooza. They came in and did a great set. So it was a very eclectic kind of a season. We thank people for all the support. We always love working with the guys at Parks and Rec, with Matt and Jerry and Lynn and everyone that's involved out there. We look forward to a great new season. We're starting to book new things.
I
We're
was
trying to-
wondering how soon you're going to have some announcements.
We've been putting offers in for quite a while. We'll start to get a few things locked in, and the announcements should start coming. Probably not for a month or 2 yet. Maybe around the end of the year, and we can start talking about the great things that'll happen next summer.
All right. Always looking forward. Always looking ahead to see what great things you can bring to Lincoln. Thank you so much, Tom. Again,
Thank you, Diane.
PinnacleBankArena.com is the website where you can go for more information. And check out PinewoodBowlTheater.com. You'll be starting to see some announcements probably coming up pretty soon.
That's right.
Thanks again, Tom. That is all for this month's Out and About show. I want to thank all the guests that we had for today. Now, if you missed any of the events, stay tuned. We'll run a list right after the show. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you out and about.